Hello and welcome, yes, to another episode of ELLICSR Kitchen. Thank you so much for joining our live stream. We have super exciting class for you today. We'll start off with introductions. My name is Jeremy Capone. I am the wellness chef, and I am joined by...
I'm Daniela Fiorini, and I'm a registered dietitian at Princess Margaret Cancer Center. I am also excited to be joining Jeremy now on his nutrition and culinary demos. I continue to learn a lot with these demos myself, and I think it's a great way to learn about the latest nutrition and food and nutrition and cancer research, and also then find practical ways to put it into the foods we eat and apply it in the kitchen. So Jeremy's great at helping us do that. So today we are looking at 3 popular comfort foods, but with a healthier twist, and also with, well, I guess you could call them, they're budget friendly. So the ingredients shouldn't be hard to find, and it should be easy on your pocketbook. And what a great day for comfort foods. I don't know where you are, but it's been dreary and raining over here. So what we're going to do today are the black bean quesadilla, an easy pesto meatball, and a blueberry bread pudding. Jeremy always seems to be able to find my favorite comfort foods without me telling him. So each one can be fine-tuned to meet your individual needs or your health goals. But and we'll do our best to give you some options for ingredients. But if you are on a special diet and you're not sure, before introducing a different ingredient or something new or changing your diet, review it with your healthcare professional, okay? So without further ado, let's get into the recipes. So sorry, Jeremy, I surprised you there. Our first recipe, black bean quesadilla. High fiber, protein packed, low in cost. This little package of goodness contains health promoting nutrients naturally found in plants. Go for it, Jeremy.
Beautiful. Yes. So love this recipe. And again, our approach was to, how can we make these really tasty, healthy recipes on, with less ingredients or less cost. I don't think it's any secret that the grocery bills have probably been on the rise, and there's been rising costs for ingredients. So we want to focus on some of those like pantry items and some of those like freezer items that get your bang for your buck, but with nutrition as well, right? And the first thing off the bat, quesadillas. I mean, like, who doesn't love quesadillas? Really tasty. I really like them because they're super customizable. So there really isn't a roll. It's a tortilla and it is cheese, and then you can sort of go from there. I mentioned beans, right? We're using black beans today. You can use obviously any beans here. The protein, the fiber that Daniela mentioned, amazing, great pantry item to have. Not really much inflation with beans that you find, so which is great. And the canned beans, they're great because they're just super convenient, right? No soaking, you don't have to do any cooking. You just open the can, drain and rinse, and you're ready to go. Now, we're gonna show you how to make, some of these. I don't want to call it boring. Like, I guess it's canned beans. Can't get super excited about canned beans. How do we make it a little bit more exciting? Add some not only flavor, but change the texture up a little bit as well. So I'm going to show you a little trick on how we can approach these beans. And again, we're making quesadillas, but you can do this if you're, doing a little chili or stir fry with some beans, and you want to, make it a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to bring you over here. Still working on the camera angles. Okay, I'm going to bring you over here to my sauté pan. Can you see that okay? Beautiful. Okay, so I have it on medium heat. I've drained and rinsed these beans, and I'm just going to throw them in to, actually, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So medium-high heat. And again, they're cooked. They're ready to go as is, but they're kind of boring. So what I want to do is create a little bit of texture to it, create a little bit of that, like a little bit of crispiness on it. We're going to add some flavor and just make it a little bit more exciting. So put some beans on here. The key here is to really give it space and not to overlap them. I want the heat to start to kind of burst these beans and to create these little ridges. And they're almost going to have they're almost like, treat them like little mini baked potatoes, right? They're going to get the super fluffiness in the middle, but we're going to get this really nice kind of crispiness on the edges. And I just put it in dry right now, as is. I'll add a little bit of olive oil. You can add any oil, any veg oil on top would be fine, not too much. And you can hear that, the little sizzle happening. All right, so again, medium high heat. And I don't want to keep it on here for too long. I just want to tap it with a little bit of heat to create that crispiness, to create that unique texture. And here's where we can start to infuse it with some flavors as well. Like some small little pinch of salt. And then any dried herbs or spices would be fantastic to add at this point. So I have some dried oregano here, which I'm going to add. Just a little pinch. And again, this is optional. Use what you have. But again, spices, herbs, these are great pantry items to kind of keep on hand. Even, it depends on where you get them. Sometimes they can be a little expensive, but you usually buy them in a larger volume. And so using it a little bit in each dish, it actually doesn't work out to be too much, which is great. And the dry tends to be a little cheaper than fresh. It also lasts a lot longer. I'm also going to add some smoked paprika. This is one of my favorite little spices, little tricks to add to stews, soups, even like barbecue dishes, because it adds this really, really nice smokiness, really smoky punch without any heat. So there's no spice to it. So if you don't like spicy food, it's great, but it's going to add this really, really nice bit of character to it. This was something that I was just going to go with the oregano, and then I saw it in my pantry. I'm like, you know what, let me throw this in there as well. And just a little teaspoon right away, you're going to notice that flavor, that smokiness. It's wonderful. And so that's pretty much it. I'm going to let this go for a couple minutes until we get some of that nice texture. And you can stir a little bit as you go. So you can already see, Daniela, before I throw it to you, I just want to show, so you can already see like the little bit of crispiness, that caramelization. They're starting to burst open a little bit. This has already become so much more interesting than, just your regular old beans from a can. So a couple minutes on that.
Yeah, definitely. And the great thing about black beans, cancer prevention guidelines are telling us to go more towards a plant-based diet. So black beans, part of the legume family, part of the pulses, and they're high in fiber and also contain good protein. So about 7.6 grams of protein in half a cup, and actually about 8 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber in half a cup. And with guidelines telling us to get at least 25 grams of fiber a day to help promote our own health, this will go a long way in helping us reach that goal. Great choice, Jeremy.
Awesome. Sorry, I lost my mute button. There we go. Yes, absolutely. We love it. And you, again, like I said, you can even use like chickpeas or any beans would work here, right? The quesadilla, like I said off the top, it's cheese and a tortilla, and you can kind of take it into whatever direction you want. So this is pretty much what I'm looking for. I'm going to turn down the heat to medium on the pan because I still need it to finish the dish. But really, really nice crispiness, a little bit of fluffiness still inside. And then we've infused it with that flavor from our smoked paprika and our oregano. So these are going to taste fantastic. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my tortilla. We're using a whole wheat tortilla here. But you can, again, like Danielle mentioned, you can use regular, I guess, depends on your needs. Now I have a question, Daniela. You see all those like green and fancy
Yeah.
tortillas in the grocery store. Is that healthier? Like what are we looking at there?
Excellent questions. So, I would not say they're healthier. They're prettier. They're prettier. So they say they're made with spinach or tomatoes. And that's what's adding the color. But from a nutrient perspective, it's not adding any value from a nutrient perspective. So my thoughts are, if you are needing to go on a lower fiber diet, if fiber is a problem for you, but you also have trouble with appetite or taste, use the colored tortillas. It'll add some visual appeal. So I see a role for it there. But if you're looking for fiber, better to go for the whole grain, whole wheat. And make sure that you look at the package, and that's the first ingredient on the package.
Beautiful. Love that. So I've added some black beans to, and I'm just making one here for demonstration purposes, but a can of black beans should be able to give you 4 of these tortillas, which we're going to fold in half. Okay. To that, I'm going to put this actually in my pen, and we'll just do everything in there to make it a little bit easier, so you can see. All right, so I'm going to transfer this back to the pen. All right, and again, I'm using, this is a nonstick. If you don't have nonstick, just use a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of oil on the bottom there. And to this, next, we're going to add cheese. Again, that's pretty much, hard rule on a quesadillas and some cheese, but you can customize this. Like if you want to use cheddar, use cheddar. If you want to use like a Monterey Jack or something a little bit sharper, go for that. If you want, there's some great vegan cheese options as well, right? So if you prefer a vegan cheese, they've come a long way with those options, so you can definitely use that. So just putting a little bit to kind of cover. I don't know, is that a little bit? Maybe that's a lot. It's going to taste good. And then on top of this, we can add, again, we can keep it as simple as possible. I'm going to add some red onion, and depending on your knife skills, you can chop that up, or looking for my grater, you can just use a grater and kind of grate this over top, and it's going to give you this like really nice fine mince, which will disperse and melt over top throughout the quesadilla, which is really nice. And again, this is great if you're not the most comfortable with your knife skills. You can just grate the onion, and we don't need a ton. And any onion will work. I just have a red onion here. It's got some nice color, but any onion will work. It's going to give it a nice little bite, a little bit of sweetness. Okay, a little bit of that onion. If you want, like if you have fresh herbs, if you have salsa, you can throw a little bit of salsa in there. Again, I just love the way you can customize. And this is just I had some green onion. So doubling up on the onion. I'm going to double dose there.
That's what's so great, Jeremy, about the recipe is you can actually, whatever you like, you can add. And I guess if there's more than one of you, you can maybe individualize it a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's 2 of you there. Maybe I'm thinking about Valentine's Day that just went by. Maybe that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, great point. Especially if you're cooking for a few people, you can customize them. Like I like spicy food, but maybe if you have young kids and they don't want spicy food, you can make one that's spicy, throw some jalapenos or some spicy salsa in there, and then keep one without. So I just put the top over to kind of fold it in half. And I don't know if there's this light a little blinding. I'll turn it down a bit. There we go. It's a little bit better. And we're just going to let that cheese melt. So like a minute per side, just until the cheese is nice and melty. and then we're good to go. You can also do this in the oven. Doesn't have to be done in the pan. You can just, fold it, or I fold it in half. You can just do one tortilla and then put a full tortilla on top and then pop that in the oven until the cheese melts. And so you can see the little bubbling on the side, which is great.
Looks yummy.
And this is, it's, again, really nice comfort food, like you mentioned. And utilizing, I think, just a great pantry staple. And I know, we get asked often, what sort of pantry staples are good to keep on hand. I think this is one of our favorites, canned beans for sure. What about some like canned vegetables as well? Like in terms of, Danielle, in terms of nutrition, like it's such a convenient item. Is it a good idea to keep some of those on hand?
It's convenient. It's good to have a few. I think when it comes to vegetables, I'd probably go more for the frozen vegetables because they're definitely frozen at their peak of freshness. So I may opt for frozen there. But definitely when it comes to the beans, the canned is so simple. And I mean, you can also use dried if you want to go through the work of buying the dried beans and soaking them. That is fine too. The nutritional value is equivalent. It's just more the convenience with the canned. But you can use either or. Jeremy, quick question. So like some people, like we want more fiber, but for some people, they have to avoid it. So would it still be a quesadilla if we omitted the beans and just had the cheese? Yeah,
great question. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's really, again, cheese in the tortilla is sort of your, that's your starting point. And then from there, you can kind of customize it. So you can definitely omit the beans. You can still utilize some of those, maybe those veg that you're okay with and tolerate. And if you had some, even like we've done them before, where like cooked sweet potato, like with the skins off, but just sweet potato inside, kind of inside the quesadilla, and that came out really, really nice. So,
never thought of sweet potato in a quesadilla. You gave me an idea.
Oh yeah, super, super tasty. All right, so gentle flip. Some of the inside fell out. That's okay. We're just going to open it up, stuff it back in. And it's really, really nice kind of exterior crunch on the outside, which is lovely. We have questions. I'd love a good non-stick pan. Yes, absolutely. They're super handy, and they're better now. Like you're getting better options now. Non-stick pans, and they have like the PFAS free ones, PFOA free ones, which are great. But definitely more options with cookware. All right, so that is pretty much perfect, what we're looking for. So we are good to plate. And again, sorry about the lack of smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
But
you always make me hungry.
It is smelling really, really good. All right. So here we go. We are good to go. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this.
So you can have that as a meal or a snack then, right? I'm thinking if you cut it in a few more pieces, or if you don't have such a great appetite, it's a great way to portion it down a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is, we love freezing leftovers, sort of that idea of meal planning, get ahead when you have the time, you have a little bit more energy to cook, set yourself up. These freeze exceptionally well.
Oh, good.
So to, make a few of these, cut them up, like you said, even to like smaller pieces. And then you can freeze portions and then just warm them up in the oven or microwave. And that's pretty much it. I love to add a little bit of lime juice to the quesadilla. especially with the beans. I find that it really helps to pick up the flavor quite a bit. But that is it. That is our crispy black bean quesadilla.